I had some other, I pulled some absorption rate and national numbers. I wanted to give you an idea on a couple of things. As I talked to you, there's 5.3 million properties that are in the foreclosed to sales market stage that are not going. I talked to my friend who does all the Fannie Mae work. Fannie Mae says through the rest of the year that they're actually going to slow down the amount of foreclosures hitting the market. So, and that surprised us. We thought they'd increase it. We also handled Bank of America. Bank of America, though, came out because they've just done this huge multi-million-dollar settlement for doing all these, robo-sign docs and everything for foreclosures and everything, and they've got all out of that. They're telling us they're going to really jack up their foreclosures, and we're going to see a lot of foreclosures come from Bank of America. So that's what they're telling us is going to happen in the market in Wichita, Kansas. We were looking at some other numbers. Last year, there were 5.36 million sales of residential properties in the United States. We have 5.3 million shadow properties. So technically, sitting on the market there is all the inventory we could sell possibly next year, but that's not going to happen. It's going to come on the market slowly. I'll give you some other numbers about, and this is talking about new homes formations and where we're at and what's going on. In 2004, we did 1.84 million new homes. That's a lot of new homes. 2005, 1.93 million new homes. 2006, 1.98 million new homes. 2010, in December, it was down to 331,000 new homes nationally. December of 11, it was down to 307,000 new homes, when through the previous decade we had averaged 1.5 million new homes. So that's what's happened over the last 2 years. Now, why is that kind of important? The population growth in the United States is about 2 million people a year, and that comes from births and it comes from immigration. Out of that, we should be generating about 1.2 million household formations, all right? But we haven't been the last 3 or 4 years because people have been sitting on the fence. My kids moved in with me, things like that. Dad moved in with the kids, stuff like that. They've been doing this for 3 years. They want to get the heck out of these houses. They want their own home, right? The economy's getting better, and so what we're going to see happen is where this is all tightened up on us, it's going to blow out, okay? We only built 307,000 houses last year. Technically, we should be putting about 1 million new product on the market to take care of all these people and also bad properties, old properties, just that we've just destroyed and got rid of. If we still continue to stay down at 3, 4, 5, 600,000 new construction, we can eat up this foreclosure stuff that's sitting out there within 2 or 3 years. And if we don't then start gearing up, they say that starting the next 2 years, we need to be building 1.5 million houses to keep up with the expected population and housing formation growth. And if we don't do that in the next couple of years, they're saying within 5 years, we're going to be so far behind providing new housing, we could see a huge increase in values because we don't have enough product out there to give to the public, which seems really strange because we're giving away houses now. But we just have to look at that. Think about it. If we went from 1.9 million in 2006 and last year we only built 300,000, that's a huge impact. Now, back when we were building that 1.8, 1.9, 1.10, in a 5-year period, they said we built 2 million more houses than we actually needed, which is why we don't need to be building at that level. We're never going to get back to those levels of new construction. I shouldn't say never. We should not get. We should really be 1.2, 1.3, somewhere in that range. They were putting out 500,000 houses extra every year than they needed to because people just thought that boom would never stop. And so when people think we're going to get back to the good old days, the good old days are going to be getting back to 2001, 2002, 2003. It's never going to be like we saw in 5 and 6, okay? And I'm trying to explain that to my agents. Don't ever see that again. So anyway, that's something that's kind of happening right there. See what else I can give you here.
Hey, can I ask
Sure, go.
Okay, you said 5,000 shadow properties or
5 million.
5 million.
There's 5.3 million properties they consider in limbo. This is a report I just got today between the foreclosure and the sales market. They're just holding them back.
That's nationally?
That's nationally.
What about for us?
Well, and actually, we don't know the exact number, but the number that I saw in that report, and they had a graph that was, designed for a 4-year-old to read, not a 62-year-old. But anyway, I was trying to read it, and it looked like there was 12,000 properties in Kansas, not Wichita, but in Kansas, that they considered shadow inventory. So, but even in Kansas, even in Wichita last year, I think I said to you, 33% of our houses we sold were short sale foreclosure properties. And if you go into the MLS and you read down, not necessarily in the super high end, but if you read in this 80 to 150 range, it's like every third house, they'll have a little comment in the bottom, this is a short sale subject to bank approval of contract. And we just got 3 approved last week. Now they say they're getting this to go faster. We have one we just got approved last week. We've had it under contract for 9 months. Okay? And fortunately, we kept the same buyer in there because we put him as a cheap rental in the house, so it was a good deal for him. We closed one about 3 months ago that we had 4 buyers in 2 years on a short sale. So, and a lot of realtors and a lot of people just say they give up on this. They give up and they turn them into foreclosures. But the banks are really better off if it goes to short sale because the properties are usually in better condition and they get more money. That's why, because they don't sit for so long, and that's what's happening.
And you said Fannie Mae is.
Fannie Mae has said to their, Fannie Mae has said to their agents last week in Wichita to expect a reduction in number of properties they're going to see on the market. Okay, Bank of America, however, took the secondary stance. They said they're going to see an increase, and that's because they settled this monster lawsuit. I forget how many. It was like 45 million or something they had to pay. The number was just unbelievable, So that's what's kind of happening here in the local market. But here's what's going to happen, I think. What happened last fall with Spirit and Boeing? Boeing got 3 record orders, right? It was like every other week we heard it. They got a record order, record order, record order. 2 of those record orders were mostly 737 aircraft. Okay, we build all parts for all the planes, but what's the number 1 plane we build in Wichita? The 737. We build 85% of the fuselage. Okay, last week there was a record order that just hit, and I'll give you I'll give you the exact number here. 230 737s from Lion Air out of Indonesia. Why? And 2 of these orders have been out of Indonesia. Why? They deregulated everything. So we'll see how many of those companies actually survive, but that's another story. Lion Air also has an option for another 150 more. What are they? 737s and 737 MAXs. What's the MAX? The MAX is the new 737 that they're putting the new big engines on to compete with the Airbus 320 that was just killing them. And so, but now we've got all those orders. Boeing has said into next year they're going to up their production rate to what? What did I hear? 42 units, I think it was. They've never built 42 737s a year. They don't even have the space to do it. So the question then becomes, when is Spirit going to announce a hiring of 2,000, 3,000 people to keep up with these orders? Because every line that Boeing's got, they're increasing the production per month. And Spirit in Wichita builds part of that. So that's where we think that the really growth in Wichita is going to happen. It's going to happen right out of Spirit Aerospace, regardless of what Boeing does, or Boeing Military. Boeing Military is dropping, 2,100 people in Wichita? Spirit will pick up some of those. Some of those people don't want to go to San Antonio or Seattle. A lot of those people are late 50s, early 60s, lots of them. They're going to take a retirement and be done with this. They're not going to transfer again. So I doubt if we lose 500 people out of that, out of our area. I think the rest will just be here. They'll stabilize. They'll go to work for other places in Wichita, Kansas. I think that's a non-event. The event was we didn't get the 767 to get the increase that we all thought we were going to get. That was the actual event that happened. So, but I think with what Learjet's doing and what Cessna will be doing, Cessna hasn't even got back on the plane yet, but when they do, they hire and Spirit hires. So we have all that happening in Wichita. This is why Wichita is going to have a good economic time. And then you're sitting out here and you're looking at that wind farm that they're building, from Greensburg to Kingman. That's going to end up being the largest wind farm in the United States. They say possibly in the world if they go ahead and expand it like they say they may expand it. Look at all the commodities, whether it's grain or gas or oil or natural gas, all that's maxing numbers and everything. That's all money coming into our local market. You know, you look at all the medical that's been built here in the last 5 years, you know, that's happened. I mean, we really are in good positions for the future. I think as we go through this year, the next 4 or 5 years for people in my business is the time to be in the business. So I've got to make my money in the next 2 years and get out. You know, that's my plan. If you want to work with me, you only got 2 years. So then you get to work with my son. Anyway, that's an overview, and that's kind of a lot of data, but questions from you about anything, whether it's the real estate side or the economic side or whatever.
Since we've got these kind of numbers floating around, why are the builders out there saying, well, we need a 5-year tax abatement?
I don't know.
Some of our new inventory.
No, we were over here talking about this earlier, you know, about the Mays tax deal and the builder tax deal. The mentality out there is so negative with the people. People are sitting on the fence. You know, I don't know what it is about Wichita, Kansas, and this has been the case when I moved here. Wichita kind of self-defecates on itself, you know. I mean, think about this. They don't know how good this place is. And, you know, we had that an analyst come in last year from the other part. He says, I don't know what the problem with you people are. This is a great place. You know, you have a lot of things going for you. It's a clean town. I mean, your crime rate's good. Everything's good. But, you know, you guys just constantly run yourself down. And I don't know if that's the mentality I don't know why it is, and I won't go down that path, but that's something that we have here in Wichita, and what we need to have is we need to have lots and lots and lots and lots of good news come out of the press and different places to kind of offset that negative mentality, and we have it coming, but it's slowly coming, you know, and I think until we start hearing some really good stuff, and you know, I think people are still going to kind of sit there on the fence. I get a call, I won't say every day, but all the time. I want to buy a new house. I want to look at foreclosures and short sales first. Okay, you want to look at the worst houses I have on the market, you know, the worst condition, the worst situation. You know, I mean, I'll show you those if you want. And they think there's a special list for that, but all those companies now put all that with realtors and through the MLS. So all that data is there now. But I think we're going to have good times. You know, good times are coming. It's just going to be a slow move to it through this year. But I think as we go into 13, 14, 15, they're going to be great years here for Wichita. So, any other questions about anything? Appreciate it.